Didn't I tell you it was going to be an interesting year? So we're at the halfway point of 2020. Well, not exactly the halfway point, the first part of the 6th month out of 12 months in a year. Out of 12 months in a year. So really July would be you know what I mean. And during this period, we've already had a massive stock market drop, a pandemic that government officials have used to close down businesses and keep everyone living under house arrest, quarantine. A sort of stock market recovery, slow and gentle opening up of those businesses, slow rolling that recovery, and now riots due to social unrest. And we've still got a presidential election to get through, folks. 2020 is going to be the year to end all years, and if you're paying attention, you may have the chance to make quite a bit of coin throughout it, despite what's going on in the economy. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 top ways to make money during periods of social unrest. So be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, as it helps out that wacky YouTube algorithm immensely. What's up, you guys? You're watching BTP Fusion, and I'm your host, Derek West, lead software engineer, online business whisperer, drone enthusiast, and all-around good guy. On BTP Fusion, it's our mission to inspire you to take imperfect action on your business and finances using the power of technology. And I must say, now is the time to start to take action. You know, during periods of great change and turmoil, the opportunities for improvement are endless. That's true in all facets of life. If unemployment is going through the roof, that means there are opportunities to form new businesses that can grow, both through the new economic circumstances that exist, as well as the new pool of labor talent that is now underutilized. If the stock market is headed through the floor, that means you have the opportunity to get invested in companies that were previously valued at just the right levels, or maybe even overvalued. You get those same companies now very cheaply. Not to mention the improvements that can come out of social unrest, which can benefit society as a whole for generations to come. One only needs to look at the aftermath of the civil unrest in the 1960s for civil rights to understand that. Or perhaps look at Gandhi's movement in India, or even the movements in South Africa, and movements around the globe that fought for social justice and civil rights. We today stand on their shoulders, and because of them, we are now a more freer and prosperous world in general. That said, that period of time when the turmoil is happening can be a time of great concern and high passion for people on all sides of the circumstances and in all situations. Times like these are made for people who can keep a level head, stay calm, look for trends, and use their creativity to earn a living for themselves and their families. Whether you do this sort of thing full-time or just trying to be a weekend warrior, time of great upheaval are times of great prosperity for the level-headed entrepreneur with his head on a swivel and his ear to the ground. To really understand where we are, you have to know where we have been. And if you've been living under a rock for the last 6 months, no, not under Iraq, a rock. You know, I just can't give that joke up. But here's a brief recap. As I'm sure you know, and as I've mentioned earlier, this has been the wildest year on record, and it promises to only get wilder. At the start of the year, the U.S. economy was hitting on all cylinders. Job numbers were at all-time highs across the board. And starting in February, bad news started to come out that a worldwide pandemic was going to shut down large chunks of the global economy. And the economic fallout has been tremendous. In the US, more than 40 million people have filed for unemployment insurance, about 1/8 of the entire US population of 320 million, approximately. If the unemployment rate were measured as total people on unemployment insurance versus the entire US population, that number would stand at roughly 13%. Now, that's not how it's measured, it's just an example of the kind of turmoil we're talking about here. The actual number is much higher. If you think about it, 40 million people on unemployment, around 150 million people in the labor force, the unemployment number could be as high as 25% right now. Add into that equation the violent death and murder of George Floyd, an unarmed black man by a white police officer, which has been the spark that has lit the match of riot and civil unrest in the US and even across the globe. While these events are all unfortunate, they do provide interesting opportunities for the well-prepared entrepreneur. And what do I mean by well-prepared? Well, you should already be familiar with certain principles and be in a relatively well-off position. For example, your debt levels should be really low and ideally non-existent for consumer debt. You should be relatively familiar with the tools of the trade for an entrepreneur. In other words, you should know about Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube ads, and things of that nature. You should know which ad type and which demographic your users are in, and which one is going to resonate more with that chosen audience. Speaking of, you should also know your audience. Who is it that will purchase your goods or services in this time of need? Remember, and it is sort of unseemly, but people want and need things all the time. It doesn't matter what their religious preference is, their political affiliations, or any other identifying characteristic about them. Those things help you to target the products to sell to them, but in the end, everyone needs something sometimes. It should be your goal to be the one that steps in the gap and provides that value for them, or a nominal fee, of course. And with that little bit of a primer, here are the top 5 ways to make money in times of civil unrest in reverse order. Small arms dealer. This one's probably something that you're not going to be able to pull off on short notice. If you're not already in that business, you are probably not going to be able to capitalize on this particular trend. But it might be something to think about for certain trends. Now, I know what you're thinking. Small arms dealers are quite controversial, particularly to certain segments of the population at large. That's true. That's 100% true. But this is a list of the best ways to make money when there is social unrest. And when people are viscerally scared of having their property looted and possibly getting bodily harm associated to them, people will become highly motivated to protect themselves, no matter what their political affiliations are. And highly motivated buyers are easier to sell to than people sitting on the fence. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, wouldn't I have to be licensed to get into that business? Yes and no. You see, your business could consist of simply selling tactical gear. Gun cleaners as an example, gun accessories, other things that could be used as a deterrent to would-be ne'er-do-wells, such as baseball bats. Other instruments that could help a person deter and defend himself during times of, let's say, rocky relations between people. But like I mentioned, the negatives are pretty high for this one. To sell the real good stuff, you need to be licensed, bar none. You can't sell anything online. You need a physical store. Even if you could sell online, there are very few suppliers that could supply such a store. And that means you're gonna need a storefront that you'll need to lease or own with all sorts of overhead for staff and things of that nature. You know, what a mess. And if you aren't selling the good stuff, guns, essentially, it's gonna be a harder sell. This level of difficulty is the reason that it's number 5 on the list. Number 4 on the list would be legal services. As I'm sure you're aware, during the last couple of days, dozens and dozens of protesters have been arrested, and depending on the jurisdiction that they reside in, their bails are being set and charges are being brought against them. In addition to that, the bail and lawyer fees for these folks are being paid for by high-profile celebrities, athletes, and politicians. So the money supply that is going to be utilized for the defense of these guys is deep and wide. The people who are going to make out like bandits during this time are going to be their lawyers. Now, just like number 5, this one is not going to be the easiest to pull off in the short term. If you're not already a lawyer, obviously, you're going to have little to no chance of becoming one in the next week or so. And even if you are a lawyer, chances are you don't specialize in this particular field of law. Defending rioters. But lest you fear them leaving you high and dry, you can in fact become an affiliate marketer for legal services. All you need is an account with any number of programs, of course, links in the description, and they aren't affiliate links, ironically. In addition to that, you'll need a little bit of social media savvy and a good understanding of online advertising. Your angle could be parents of arrested protesters, friends of arrested protesters, celebrity boosters of arrested protesters. Possibilities are endless for the imaginative online affiliate marketer. Which brings us to number 3. Bail bonds affiliates. Are you aware that you can become an affiliate for bail bonds services? Well, that caught me by surprise as well. Like I mentioned earlier, protesters and others are going to be getting arrested for the acts of wanton violence and destruction that they themselves are executing, and they're going to need to be bailed out. You, as an affiliate of bail bonds services, could position yourself as someone who refers clients to the appropriate bail bond services that focus on their needs. Now, again, these services are being taken care of mostly by celebrities who are chipping in, as it were, to their legal problem. That said, not everyone's going to get that sort of treatment. And in the meantime, while the check clears on certain services, they're going to need to be released as soon as possible to possibly cause more mayhem and destruction, or think about what they've done while they wait for their time in court. In any case, you can be the guy that steps in and fills the gap for their specific legal needs. A bail bonds affiliate is definitely easier to pull off than being an actual bail bondsman. But next up on the list, cleaning up the mess. So there's going to be a ton of destruction and devastation all over the country. Now would be an excellent time to be in the disaster cleanup business, particularly for businesses that have specific needs that may not be easily handled by volunteer efforts. Now you may say to yourself, what if I don't own a cleanup and restoration business? Well, actually, there's no time like the present. Understandably, it's sort of unseemly to ask for payment for cleanup from a brand new company that just got started at the onset of the riots and protests. But remember, you gotta lead with value. So perhaps offer cleanup for free. All that you ask for is a referral for a friend who may also be in dire straits and in need of a business restoration. Now again, this business model is sort of a stretch. Fear not, you could also become an affiliate for cleanup and restoration businesses as well. Please see the links in the description. So this one is probably the one you've all been waiting for. It's probably the simplest of all the ways to make a little coin during uncertain times. And it has the least amount of overhead and the quickest turnaround time. That is, ladies and gentlemen, selling riot-related gear. Now, understandably, tensions on both sides of the coin are high, and passion is running hot no matter which side you agree with. So take advantage of it. Passionate people are also more willing to part with their cash for your goods and services if it's targeted to them. So be an entrepreneur and target them. Now, you could sell merchandise for the side that you identify the closest to. Or you could do what a true businessman does and sell to both sides. The choice is yours. Now, you may ask, how or what merchandise do I sell? Well, that's easy. Print-on-demand gear. You could set up a Shopify or Squarespace store to sell hoodies, good idea, face masks, even better idea, custom jackets, pillows, and a ton of merchandising items using Printful or other print-on-demand service providers. Your options are endless, and so is the value that we provide here on B2B Fusion. That's why it's imperative that you smash that like button and click the subscribe and notification bells for the YouTube algorithm. Doing that definitely helps the channel grow and reach more and more folks. Also, comment down below on what route you're going to take to make money during this unfortunate time of civil unrest. We're all dying to know. And remember, a goal without a plan is a wish. A goal with a plan and no action is a wish list. Take action on your business and personal finances using the power of technology, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Seriously. Peace.